I rushed down the long, spiraling stairway. I ain't claiming what I did was smart. It certainly was not that. There wasn't any thinking involved, to be honest. I'd lost everyone I cared about, and I had reason to believe my mom was next. She was the last person I had to hold on to. The last person I had to live for. So at that moment, I figured either I'd save her or I'd die. The way I see it, those were the only two options. Liza and Wally were scrambling after me, trying to convince me to turn around. I told them to head back up, that I'd do it on my own. They, of course, did not listen. I suppose they thought I was running towards my death. But what we found once we reached the bottom was entirely unexpected. It was empty. The cages that had previously held hundreds of prisoners were now completely vacant. The cage doors hung open. Chains lay spread across the dirt. "Where is everybody?" I said, primarily to myself. "Mason, this isn't good. We need to go back up," said Liza. I ignored her and headed towards the back of the cave. They reluctantly followed. At the end, I came upon the opening to the Wendigo's lair. I could once again sense the evil waiting beyond the jagged tunnel. I stepped inside. It was dark. The chandelier above wasn't lit. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I carefully crept forward. Then I bumped into something. A person. I took a step back, and the chandelier suddenly lit up overhead. I could now see under the dim light that the room was packed. Every single prisoner was standing in there with me, and they were all facing my direction. "Welcome back, Mason," they all said simultaneously, reverberating through the cavern like a cathedral. The candles along the cavern walls were sparking to life and pulsating with each word, and then fell back into darkness when they were silent. "Thank you for bringing us your grandmother," they said, the lights once again pulsating. I turned around to see Liza and Wally standing at my back. Wally was white-knuckle gripping his tomahawk. I returned my attention to the crowd. "Where's my mom?" "You're too late." The room returned to near darkness, the chandelier providing only minimal light. My heart sank. "What do you mean? Where is she?" From the middle of the crowd, I watched a large, dark figure rise. The Wendigo stood at her full height. I could barely make out two human legs dripping with blood, dangling from the beast's mouth. The Wendigo bit down, severing the legs, and then gave a large, bone-chilling grin as she swallowed the remainder of the body. I yelled. Something primal and reactionary. A sound deep in me that only the most significant emotional anguish could bring out. And the Wendigo yelled back. The flames from the candles surged to a blinding brightness as the Wendigo's singular roar shook the cavern walls. I tried to maintain my balance as the ground vibrated. Then she stopped, and calmly said through the chorus of voices I'd heard the first time I'd been in the cavern, "Bring them to me." The entire crowd charged us at once. We turned and ran. We squeezed through the narrow tunnel, scuffing against the rocky walls as we spilled out into the main cavern. The crowd of possessed prisoners were pouring out the same tunnel, climbing across one another. Men, women, children. They all seemed physically equal despite their differences. Wally and I tried to pull Liza along, but she was slower than us. I looked back at the charging horde. They were nearly on us. I said a quiet apology, and then I braced for impact. But nothing happened. I opened my eyes. We were surrounded. The crowd watched us with hunger still present in their eyes. They wanted to attack us, but for some reason, they couldn't. The three of us slowly stood to our feet, baffled by what we were seeing. "What the hell is this?" asked Wally. Liza thought for a moment and then removed the dream catcher from around her neck. She held it out in front of her. The prisoners recoiled. "The mayor can't get past the dream catchers, and they can't get the prisoners to attack us without possessing them." Liza seemed to be realizing this for the first time. She began walking towards the crowd, Dreamcatcher held out in front of her. The prisoners spread apart, creating a path to the exit. "Let's go," said Liza. We started to follow her. Then we heard a roar coming from the end of the cave and the sound of breaking bones. The Wendigo's arm appeared outside the tunnel, followed by her face, which had become morphed and broken. Another arm shot out the opening as the Wendigo pulled herself through. More snapping bones, the Wendigo's body jolting with each snap. The Wendigo was violently contorting her body to get through the narrow tunnel. She was dragging herself out. Her long, gangly body slid against the dirt. Once outside, her body immediately started repairing itself, joints and bones popping back into place. She turned and stared at us, with her large saucer eyes. Liza's voice trembled as she uttered, "She's no longer possessed by the mayor."